Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi proposes 6 initiatives from space to critical minerals, from health to countering drug terror nexus at the G20 Johannesburg Summit. India, Australia and Canada announce a new trilateral technology and innovation partnership. EAM Jaishankar reiterates India's support for early end to Ukraine-Russia conflict. France, Britain and Germany will meet EU, US and Ukrainian officials in Geneva to discuss Trump's peace plan. And Brazil's former President Jair Bolsonaro arrested, faces a 27-year sentence for allegedly plotting a coup. Continue to put forth India's perspectives on the G20 agenda and discussing key global challenges. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who's on a visit to Johannesburg, South Africa for the G20 Summit, will be attending the 3rd session of the summit today. Prime Minister Modi will speak on a fair and a just future for all, critical minerals, decent work, artificial intelligence in the 3rd and last session of the summit. Later in the day, Prime Minister Modi will also be participating in the 6th India-Brazil-South Africa leaders meeting being hosted by South Africa. He will also interact with the leaders of the partner countries. DD India correspondent Amritpal Singh tells us more about the Prime Minister's engagement today. Listen in.
Day 2 will see the 3rd session of the G20 being conducted. The Prime Minister is likely to make an intervention there as well. Also, the Prime Minister could have more meetings with global world leaders. He could meet the President of South Africa. There could be a bilateral with Italy. There could also be a bilateral with Japan. So 3 to 4 bilaterals scheduled for today. Also a meeting of the IBSA or the India, Brazil, South Africa, further strengthening this trilateral partnership.
Earlier on Saturday, Prime Minister participated in the G20 Leaders Summit hosted by the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa in Johannesburg. This was Prime Minister's 12th participation in G20 summits. Prime Minister addressed both the sessions of the opening day of the summit. He thanked President Ramaphosa for his warm hospitality and successfully hosting the summit. Addressing the opening session on inclusive and sustainable economic growth, leaving no one behind, Prime Minister appreciated the work done by the group under the South African presidency in the areas of skilled migration, tourism, food security, AI, digital economy, innovation and women empowerment. Prime Minister emphasized that it was time to look at new parameters of development. In this context, he noted that the idea of integral humanism based on India's civilizational wisdom must be explored. Prime Minister also addressed a session on a resilient world G20 contribution to disaster risk reduction, climate change, just energy transition, food systems. He appreciated that a disaster risk reduction working group initiated by India is being taken forward. He noted that the approach to disaster resilience should be development-centric rather than response-centric, as exemplified in the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure set up by India. Prime Minister called for greater collective action on climate agenda to strengthen food security. In this context, he noted the value of millets in promoting nutritional security and environmental sustainability. Prime Minister sought greater voice for the Global South in global governance structures. In the context, he noted that the inclusion of the African Union as a permanent member of G20 New Delhi Summit was a major step forward, and this inclusive spirit must also be taken beyond G20. Meanwhile, at the G20 Summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi elaborated India's approach to growth, development and well-being for all, proposing 6 ideas for consideration.
And well-being for all, Prime Minister proposed a few actionable for the G20 to consider. These included, number 1, creation of a G20 Global Traditional Knowledge Repository. This would harness collective wisdom of humanity for the benefit of future generations. Secondly, creation of a G20 Africa Skills Multiplier. This program would aim to create a pool of 1 million certified trainers for skilling the youth in Africa. The third, creation of a G20 Global Healthcare Response Team, which would comprise healthcare experts from each of the G20 members and could be deployed to deal with global health challenges in any part of the world. The fourth, establishing a G20 Open Satellite Data Partnership, a program of satellite data in which G20 space agencies would make information available to developing countries for agriculture, fisheries, disaster management, among other activities. Fifth, he also talked about creation of a G20 Critical Minerals Circularity Initiative, an initiative which would foster recycling, urban mining, second life battery projects, and innovation of various types, and help in strengthening supply chain security and develop cleaner pathways of development. And finally, Honorable Prime Minister mentioned about creation of a G20 initiative on countering the drug and terror nexus.
Later, a declaration was adopted at the G20 Leader Summit, acknowledging the impact of rising geopolitical and geo-economic competition. The leaders confirmed that solidarity, equality and sustainability are key pillars of inclusive growth. A spokesperson for South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa said that the document cannot be renegotiated, noting that it was prepared after months of work and an intense final week. India has ensured that the key outcomes of its 2023 G20 presidency continue to strongly shape the agenda at this year's G20 Summit in South Africa, with the leaders' declaration echoing New Delhi's priorities and amplifying the voice of the Global South. The key outcomes from India's point of view are: terrorism in all its forms and manifestations has been condemned. On technology, the transformative potential of digital public infrastructure has been highlighted. The New Delhi commitments to harness the potential of digital and emerging technologies, including AI, has been reiterated. There was a push for strong language on empowerment of women and girls, and in this regard, women-led development has been encouraged. The Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure has been recognized in the declaration. The Deccan High-Level Principles on Food Security and Nutrition has been reinforced in the context of food security. In health, the role of traditional and complementary medicine has been recognized, echoing the New Delhi leaders' declaration. The importance of embracing sustainable production and consumption patterns and mainstreaming lifestyles for sustainable development or life has been recognized. India also pushed for a call to reform the United Nations Security Council that improves its representation. And language from the New Delhi leaders' declaration finds resonance across the document on various other matters. Prime Minister has termed Saturday's proceedings at the G20 Summit in Johannesburg as fruitful. In a social media post, PM informed about attending 2 sessions and sharing his views on key issues. He also informed about his productive meetings with many world leaders. He also shared a small video showing the highlights. Let's see that. One of the significant initiatives announced on the sidelines of the G20 Summit was by Prime Ministers of India, Australia and Canada about technology and innovation partnership. The leaders said the initiative will deepen collaboration between democratic partners across 3 continents and 3 oceans in emerging technologies, support diversification of supply chains, clean energy and mass adoption of AI. They added that 3 nations look forward to working together to guarantee a better future for the coming generations.
We see this as a very important progress in our ties with Australia and in our ties with Canada, and together the 3 countries now will pool in their respective capabilities and resources and see how best we can not only just address issues on technology, on energy, on supply chain just for themselves, but what can be made available for others as well. So that is, we have put out a detailed joint statement, a common joint statement which has been adopted by the 3 countries. So that will give you more details of this very important collaboration that has been set in motion in Johannesburg. Thank you.
And still to come on DD India Newshour. Reports of US set to launch new phase of Venezuela operations make rounds ahead of designating Cartel de los Soles a foreign terrorist organization on Monday. Air traffic suspended at Eindhoven Airport. We'll give you more details. We will show you how countries in different parts of the world are immersing in preparations ahead of Christmas.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you.
Exactly what to save your.
You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. India once again reiterated its support for an end to the ongoing Russia and Ukraine conflict. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar had a telephonic conversation with his Ukrainian counterpart Andriy Sybiha last evening. Sharing a post on X, he wrote, and I quote, "Appreciate his briefing on the ongoing developments related to the Ukraine conflict, reiterated India's support for an early end to this conflict and the establishment of an enduring peace," unquote. The national security advisors from the E3, France, Britain and Germany would meet European Union, US and Ukrainian officials in Geneva on Sunday for further discussions. The meeting comes after European and other Western leaders on Saturday said US peace plan was a basis for talks to end Russia's conflict in Ukraine, but needed additional work. Ukraine and allies are trying to figure out a coordinated response to Donald Trump's demand for Ukraine to accept his 28-point peace plan with Russia by Thursday. Washington's plan, which endorses key Russian demands, was met with measured criticism from many US allies. Leaders sought to balance praise for Trump's attempt to end the fighting with recognition that some terms in his proposal are unpalatable for Kiev. Meanwhile, Trump said his current proposal for peace in Ukraine is not his final offer. He told reporters that it needs to end one way or another, however, said no when asked if this was his final offer.
No, not my fault. No, we'd like to get the peace. It should have happened a long time ago. The Ukraine war with Russia should have never happened. If I were president, it never would have happened. We're trying to get it ended. One way or the other, we have to get it ended. So, are you willing to deliver? Well, then he can continue. Then he can continue to fight his little heart out.
Brazil's former President Jair Bolsonaro was taken from house arrest into police custody on Saturday to prevent him from escaping as he appeals a conviction for a failed coup attempt. The far-right firebrand was sentenced to 27 years in prison over a plot to stop leftist Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva from taking office after 2022 elections. Supreme Court Judge Alexandre de Moraes, who is leading the trial against Bolsonaro, said his arrest was a preventative measure as he is a high flight risk and not the execution of his sentence. Bolsonaro, who governed Brazil from 2019 to 2022, was placed under house arrest in August and has been confined to an upscale condominium in the capital Brasilia and monitored electronically. Tensions are rising between the US and Venezuela as the United States is poised to launch a new phase of Venezuela-related operations in the coming days, according to the sources. As per the report, two of the US officials said covert operations would likely be the first part of the new action against Maduro. Officials speaking on the condition of anonymity said President Trump is prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice. The Trump administration has been weighing Venezuela-related options to combat what it has portrayed as Maduro's role in supplying illegal drugs that have killed Americans. He has denied having any links to the illegal drug trade. Meanwhile, the Department of State intends to designate Cartel de los Soles as a foreign terrorist organization effective November 24. Based in Venezuela, the Cartel de los Soles is headed by Nicolas Maduro and other high-ranking individuals of the illegitimate Maduro regime who have corrupted Venezuela's military, intelligence, legislature and judiciary. And air traffic at Eindhoven Airport in southern Netherlands was suspended after multiple drones were sighted on Sunday, in fact Saturday evening. Eindhoven Airport serves both civilian and military flights and all air traffic was temporarily halted. Authorities have launched an investigation into the drone activity, but no information has been provided on the origin of the drones. Drone incursions have caused significant disruptions across Europe in recent months. Tension between China and Japan has sharply escalated after Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi made strong remarks in Parliament early this month about a possible security threat from China over Taiwan. In a letter to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, China's UN Ambassador Fu Song wrote Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi committed a grave violation of international law and diplomatic norms when she said a Chinese attack on Taiwan could trigger a military response from Tokyo. Beijing views democratically governed Taiwan as its own territory and has not ruled out the use of force to take control of the island. Taiwan's government rejects Beijing's claims and says only the island's people can decide their future. Japan's foreign ministry, the ministry was aware of Fu's letter. The Japan ministry emphasized that Japan's commitment to peace was unchanged. The Japan ministry also dismissed China's claims as entirely unacceptable. China's UN ambassador demands Japan stop making provocations and crossing the line and retract its erroneous remarks. And more than 300 children and teachers, staff have been abducted from Catholic school in Nigeria this week. One of the worst mass kidnappings ever recorded there since 2014. The incident comes amid a surge in violence by armed groups. Authorities in Nigeria state have ordered all schools, colleges to close following mass kidnapping as security forces scramble to rescue abducted students. U.S. State Department officials said U.S. has been considering actions to compel the Nigerian government to better protect Christian communities and religious freedom. In support of this, Nigeria's military is leading fight against armed groups, while leaders often seeking peace through talks with bandit gangs of the region. Thousands of people in Australia's Northern Territory were without power on Sunday after a tropical cyclone brought destructive winds to the region. In a media conference, Chief Minister Leah Finocchiaro said about 19,000 people had lost power due to Fina, which had also caused property damage and submerged roads but resulted in no injuries to residents. The cyclone saw a territory that was united and prepared for what was to come, he added. Authorities urged residents of Darwin, a northern garrison city, to stay clear of downed power lines as crews started damage assessments. Heavy rains have caused widespread flooding across several regions of Albania, forcing hundreds of residents to evacuate their homes and leaving one dead. Army units have been deployed to assist with evacuations, distribute food and reinforce dams and embankments. Since Thursday, at least 200 families have been relocated as rising waters have damaged dozens of homes. Officials reported that more than 1,500 hectares of agricultural land in the south were submerged on Saturday, with significant losses of livestock and poultry. Hundreds of households remain without electricity after landslides toppled power poles and dozens of roads have been blocked or flooded. Authorities continue to monitor the situation as relief and recovery efforts are underway. Updates related to recently concluded COP30 in Belém, where India delivered a strong and principled message at the closing plenary calling for equity, climate justice and fairness in global climate action. Acknowledging the presidency's balanced approach, India welcomed the key decisions adopted at the session. India highlighted progress under the global goal on adaptation, noting that the outcome strengthens equity and acknowledges the urgent adaptation needs of developing countries. India also expressed hope that commitments made in Rio 33 years ago will finally be fulfilled. Welcoming the establishment of the Just Transition Mechanism, India called it a major milestone for advancing climate justice globally and nationally. India thanked the presidency for enabling discussions on unilateral trade restrictive climate measures, saying such measures are increasingly affecting all developing countries and violate principles of equity and common but differentiated responsibilities and respective. India also emphasized that the burden of climate mitigation must not fall on those least responsible for global emissions. India pledged to work with all parties to ensure climate ambition remains inclusive, just and equitable. It reaffirmed its commitment to science-based equitable climate action, respect for national sovereignty and a rules-based global order. India also urged greater global support for vulnerable populations, especially in the global south. Meanwhile, COP30 Climate Summit is heading for a dramatic showdown. A new draft agreement has dropped all mention of fossil fuels, sparking outrage among delegates. Critics say that the text fails to address the root causes of the climate crisis, while others stress the need for financing and a fair transition that respects national priorities. DD India's Rahul Upadhyay brings us this report. Have a look.
The COP30 Climate Summit in Belém, Brazil, headed for a dramatic showdown on Friday as hosts dropped efforts to push for a global plan to phase out fossil fuels. The move has reignited tensions over the future of oil, gas and coal in international climate negotiations. A new draft text was released without the mention of fossil fuels, removing all options that had appeared in earlier versions. The omission has sparked outrage at the two-week conference of nearly 200 governments.
Colleagues, friends, the political text released is simply unacceptable. It is not a serious basis for negotiations. It fails the Amazon, it fails science, it fails justice, and it fails the people we are here to represent. It simply cannot be legitimized. There is no mention of fossil fuels phased out, or phased down, or deforestation. Nothing. This COP is even failing to repeat language already agreed in previous years and under the global stocktake. Failing to name the causes of the climate crisis is not compromise, it's denial, it's criminal.
Amid the heated debate, India's Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav strongly underlined the country's position. He said India remains committed to domestic adaptation as part of climate action, but stressed the urgent need for scaled-up adaptation finance to bridge the widening global gap. Minister Bhupendra Yadav emphasized that a just transition must go beyond the energy sector, describing it as, quote, an economy-wide, all-inclusive, people-centered transformation that respects national circumstances, ensures equity, and secures social justice, unquote. As COP30 heads into its final stretch, the absence of fossil fuel language in the draft deal has set the stage for a fierce battle. India's stance on removing fossil fuels is that, while it supports the goal, any phase-out must be equitable and not uniform across nations, recognizing the need for a just transition that considers development priorities. With developing nations demanding equity, finance, and justice, the world watches whether Belém will deliver a breakthrough or deepen divides in the global fight against climate change. Rahul Upadhyay's report for DD India.
Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Spain's Barcelona launched its holiday season with a vibrant light display that drew thousands to the city's streets. A dazzling show lit up the night, delighting both tourists and locals. Iconic buildings, Casa Batlló and La Pedrera, were transformed with colorful projections, creating a striking visual spectacle that marked the official start of the festive season. Portugal capital Lisbon launched its Christmas season with a grand light show and fireworks at the iconic Comércio Square, drawing crowds of locals and tourists. The highlight was the lighting of a giant Christmas tree, marking the official start of the festivities. According to the city council, the city will glow with 182 kilometers of energy-efficient lighting, more than 3 times Lisbon's circumference. A monarch butterfly sanctuary in central Mexico has officially opened to visitors, giving travelers a chance to witness millions of orange-winged butterflies clustered on oyamel fir trees. Every year, monarchs migrate more than 4,000 kilometers from Canada and the United States to spend the winter in Mexico, staying until March. According to the Mexican government, butterfly numbers have surged, nearly doubling from last year with a 99%. And still to come on DT India Newshour. India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal addresses vibrant Indian community in Israel before wrapping up his 3-day visit. Catch all the buzz surrounding International Film Festival of India. And we will show you visuals of the closing ceremony of the 11th Indo-Sri Lanka Joint Military Exercise Mitra Shakti held in Belagavi. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Siddharth Bhardwaj, and a quick recap of the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi proposes 6 initiatives from space to critical minerals, from health to countering drug trade nexus at the G20 Johannesburg Summit. India, Australia and Canada announce a new trilateral technology and innovation partnership. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar reiterates India's support for early end to Ukraine-Russia conflict. France, Britain and Germany will meet EU, US and Ukraine officials in Geneva to discuss Trump's peace plan. And Brazil's former President Jair Bolsonaro arrested, faces a 27-year sentence for allegedly plotting a coup. Union Minister Piyush Goyal, who is on Israel visit, has addressed the vibrant Indian community in Israel alongside his Israeli counterpart Nir Barkat. The minister highlighted the strong bond between India and Israel and how the Indian community in Israel and the Jewish community in India play a vital role in ensuring the growth of people-to-people ties, called upon the Indian diaspora to further contribute towards the journey to Vikasit Bharat as both sides work towards realizing the full potential of this partnership.
A nation built on bold ideas, relentless focus on innovation, and a culture to convert challenges into opportunities. They have developed so many different technologies, which today we are sharing with each other. We are working together for the shared security of both nations, which will obviously ultimately lead to the shared prosperity of the people of Israel and the people of India. And it is this approach of converting a challenge to an opportunity that also brings our nations together.
India's Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal has hailed the central government's rollout of the 4 new labour codes. He said that they are part of the continuous process towards transforming government procedures to encourage our workers, trade, industry and businesses.
Notified 4 labour codes, which will replace 29 labour laws by 4 well-articulated modern labour codes, which will help Indian industry and the MSME sector particularly, which will ensure our workers get a better deal, which will ensure that our contractual workers, non-formal workers also get social security. It's a continuous process towards transforming our processes and procedures to encourage greater trade, industry, manufacturing and business.
In a historic decision, the government on Friday notified all 4 labour codes ushering in major reforms. These include extending universal social security coverage for gig workers, promising gender pay parity, expanded rights and safety for women workers, providing statutory backing for minimum wages and introducing fixed term employment. The mortal remains of Wing Commander Namansh Syal were brought to Tamil Nadu's Sulur Air Base on Sunday. The mortal remains were repatriated to India on Saturday following his tragic death in the Tejas fighter jet crash at the Dubai Air Show on Friday. Indian Ambassador to the UAE, Deepak Mittal, and Consul General Satish Sivan paid their respects as Emirati Defence Forces accorded the fallen pilot a ceremonial guard of honour before his repatriation aboard a special Indian Air Force aircraft. India is set to commission its first Mahe-class anti-submarine warfare vessel in Mumbai on 24th of November. The Indian Navy will induct Mahe, the lead vessel of the Mahe-class anti-submarine warfare shallow water craft. Built with over 80% indigenous content, Mahe will showcase the country's growing mastery in warship design, construction and integration. The ship is designed to hunt submarines, conduct coastal patrols and secure the nation's vital maritime approaches. Its commissioning reinforces India's commitment to self-reliance in defence manufacturing and expands the Navy's future-ready fleet for underwater threat response. The Day 4 of the ongoing International Film Festival of India will witness the culmination of the 48 Hours Creative Minds of Tomorrow's challenge. CMOT is a unique challenge that inspires young creative minds and bring forth their talent in front of industry leaders. Apart from that, the red carpet will roll out for films under the category of Indian Panorama, gala premieres and other international feature, non-feature and regional cinema. Today is also the second last day of Waves Film Bazaar. Tanvi the Great, a film by actor and director Anupam Kher, witnessed its successful premiere at the 56th edition of IFFI. DD India's Deepika got in an exclusive conversation with Anupam Kher, who talked about mental health and announced his upcoming app exclusively on DD India. Whereas Shubhangi talked about her experience on working with Anupam Kher and getting her first big break.
So we have with us the legendary actor, Mr. Anupam Kher. Sir, 500 films, more than 40 years, and still you say that you learn every day, and you shared your experience of learning about depression. Today, in this current scenario, how important it is to identify our own mental mapping?
I think the romanticism of being alone is good, but it's not good for health, especially for mental health. Why the joint families used to have a great impact on children? Because there was somebody always looking after you. I came from a family of 14 people, grandparents, grandfathers, mother, Taiji. There was somebody always ready to answer your questions. That is not problem. That's not an issue today. Today you are with in a nuclear family because both the parents have to work. Children get their, before they are even born, they get their mobile in their hands. So it is very important to remain healthy by communicating with people. Today we talk at people rather than talking to people. When COVID happened, I came back from America. I had a picture of 56 students of my 11th grade. I made sure that I call all of them. I call people, I communicate. Communication is the biggest way of dealing with it. And when you see somebody being quiet, I think it's important to ask him or her that what are you feeling. Very soon I'll be announcing a very interesting app that I have made for autism. Yeah.
So that is, I think, a very important news that we've just got. And also, sir, when we talk about communication, IFFI also aims to promote the communication that cinema caters to. How do you look at IFFI's role here? We are in the 56th edition of it.
Well, IFFI has done a splendid work, and I'm very proud to be part of IFFI International Film Festival of the Government of India and the Ministry, everybody, Doordarshan, everybody has done. To do a festival of this magnitude is phenomenal. I see other people also. We get to meet international people. We are also, the most important thing, it also becomes a platform for people who have made smaller films, who have made a lot of films, and they don't get a platform. So at least over here, Waves Bazaar is a revolutionary thing that has happened. And I'm an eternal optimist. I only see the right things of the thing. I'm not a bitter person. And look at the people, how many people from, even for press, even for regional cinema, even for yesterday, before our film, there was a small Tamil film, short film. It was so beautiful, so moving. And I'm looking forward. And I personally have 3 films, which is a kind of a record. No actor, I think, has had 3 films in anywhere, in any international film festival of India. And that sort of validates you as an actor, as a person who has been working for 41 years. My Tanvi the Great is there, Hotel Mumbai is not Hotel Mumbai, I'm saying the Bengal Files is there, and the international film, Calorie is there, the Canadian film. And I'm very happy and very proud of this fact.
Thank you so much, sir, for talking to us. So there you heard Mr. Anupam Kher talking about Tanvi the Great, importance of mental health and a lot more. So we are here with Ms. Shubhangi, who is the actress behind Tanvi the Great. Shubhangi, you told about your experience being with Anupam sir, but being a woman, there's a special focus on women this time at IFFI. How do you see the transformational journey of women in cinema?
You know, I think this is a very good change because now it's about equality. Now, I don't think anybody is even mentioning that the special focus is just on women, because I think it's just become a norm now that equality is there. It's coming. So it's not coming as a shock, or it's not coming as something like a big change. It's just something that now we are living with it, and now we've accepted with a lot of love and gratitude.
And also, Shubhangi, how has your experience been, being a very young girl coming into the industry? Was there, I'm sure you would have seen a lot of challenges, but how's the journey been so far?
I think the journey is definitely challenging, especially when you come from just dreams and not knowing how to find the ladder to reach up there and to find and to carve your own way in this industry. So I think it's definitely challenging, but I think once you decide and once you set your mind to it, it is possible. I have had moments where I felt like it's too much, because sometimes it can get too much. And I think it's okay to sometimes just pause and reflect, but just not give up. Take your time, retrospect, introspect, do everything you can, but then get back up and go fight.
Throughout the entire duration of the shooting, you were completely in your zone, as you talked about it, and Sir also pushed for it. But also, we could see you in zone during the press conference as well. What was actually going in your mind during your press conference? Sir also mentioned this is your first major press conference at IFFI.
Yeah, that's true. It's my first time at IFFI. So in front of the camera, I think when it comes to performing, I don't think I was as nervous as I started getting nervous after, with interviews and so many press, because even though I used to practice a lot at home before even my first big break, but it's different when you experience it in person. It can get overwhelming, so many questions, and just like your mind is everywhere. You don't know what questions are going to come your way. You don't know how to respond. So I think, but I am getting better with time, and obviously under the influence of the veterans, and I just see how they are and how they respond. I think I'm learning. I think it's just the process in itself, and I think I'm just going to let life and experiences bring the better of me.
We wish you all the very best.
Thank you so much.
So there you heard Ms. Shubhangi talking about Tanvi the Great, and of course her experience. This is just the beginning for her, and the bigger picture is yet to come.
Deepika also spoke to OTT sensation Shayani Gupta.
We have with us Ms. Shayoni Gupta. First of all, thank you so much for exclusively talking to DD India. When we talk about the transformation we've seen so far from big screens to OTT platform, you know the importance. Tell us about it.
It's a long conversation, yeah. It's amazing in terms of wherever people can watch films, shows, etc. There is a lot of volume of things being made. The idea is to make good things, not just many things, Hopefully we'll make many good things. And I think, yeah, it's amazing, and the more the merrier, really.
And how is the 56th edition of IFFI going to add to it, its value?
Filmmaking is all about collaboration, and what IFFI or a stage like this, especially Waves Film Bazaar, what it does is it gets people together. There are people from all corners of the world who are interested in and playing different parts, right? They're filmmakers, they're people who are pitching, they're producers, they're writers, they're people in development of films, but there are also people from sales and distribution, people who are going to finance films. So this is really like a melting pot of everything, really, and it's quite exciting. This is my first time in Film Bazaar, and I'm quite excited. Hopefully, also I'm wearing a new hat. I'm here as a producer. I'm part of the Producers Lab, so hopefully I'll get to learn a lot. There are a lot of classes back to back.
And also, this time, IFFI is also having a different segment for women, empowering the women voices. How do you look at this initiative?
Well, it's great. I didn't really know, but it's amazing, and we need more diverse voices, and we need more women to get projects greenlit. It's not always even in terms of budget, even if your films are getting greenlit, probably you're not going to get as much money and things like that, which needs to change, of course. And we're in the right path, I think. Yeah.
And one quick last question, going global, because you are also wearing a different hat this time. How do you think India is doing when we talk about the global pathway in film industry?
India has always been doing amazingly well in global pathways ever since cinema has existed, So that is not going away. And in fact, Indian films are doing really well in all kinds of film festivals. The only thing is that when it comes to exhibition in the country, unfortunately, a lot of films that have done amazingly well in other really important film festivals in the world, they don't always manage to find exhibition and distribution in our country, which is quite sad. So I think that needs to change. But in terms of the global platform, India has always done really well.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So there you heard Ms. Shayoni Gupta, who talked about the importance of film industry, how India is doing globally, and the importance of IFFI as well.
The 11th Indo-Sri Lanka joint military exercise Mitra Shakti has concluded with a closing ceremony at the Foreign Training Node in Belagavi. The exercise focused on joint tactical drills and sub-conventional operations under a UN mandate, strengthening interoperability and mutual trust between the Indian Army and the Sri Lanka Army. It also enhanced joint capabilities in counter-terrorism and semi-urban operations. And still to come on DD India Newshour. Day 2 of a Guwahati test resumes between India and South Africa. India's Rajasthan Sambar Lake offered a stunning sight.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and time now for sport. And we will begin with India versus South Africa. Day 2 update. While it's a very crucial encounter for India, as they have to win this encounter because they've lost the first encounter against South Africa. South Africa now Senuran Muthuswamy and Kylie Vereni have taken South Africa past the 300-run mark in the first session. The pair resumed batting on day 2 and have been solid for the visitors. Earlier on day 1, India worked their way back into the match, picking up 4 wickets in the last session. Spinner Kuldeep Yadav took 3 wickets as India restricted the tourists at 247 runs for the loss of 6 wickets at stumps. Preston Stubbs and skipper Temba Bavuma put on 84 runs for the 3rd wicket after South Africa elected to bat in their bid for a first Test series win in India in 25 years. All right, and my colleague Narayan Singh joins us live on this. Hi Narayan, a very good morning to you. First of all, it's 307 for 6 South Africa as we are talking. India would certainly not want South Africa to win this one, Narayan. The history books might tell a different story otherwise. They will go all cylinders blazing against them in this one. What's your analysis of this match, Narayan?
Good morning, Siddharth. As of now, if we take a look that South Africa has crossed the 300-run mark, I think that is not in favor of India because today we are hoping that the way things went yesterday in the last session, India took 4 wickets and we were hoping that today India will just wind up them under 300, but that didn't happen without losing a wicket the way Kyle Verreynne and the way their other batter Muthuswamy played. We can say that kudos to the South African team just sticking to the basics of the game, and a true test match trait is on display here. So all in all, we can say that India need to fire, India need to score big, India need to wrap up the South African side really early in this match if they want to be in this match. Because if you take a look in the first match, we saw the way the things happened, the way spinners were totally dominating the match, especially the Harmer for the South African team. And if in this match, we know that after 2 days, the conducive conditions batting will not remain in the pitch. And in that sense, we can say that the spinners of the South Africa will also come to the party. They have some quality spinners. Keshav Maharaj is there. Simon Harmer, no, we know that what he did in the first test match in the Eden Gardens. So different, I think right now the situation is not in favor of India.
Okay, right now, as my colleague Narayan is saying, situation is not certainly in favor of India. They lost the first encounter as well, Narayan. But what is going wrong with Team India? Where, in which department are they failing? Or it's the all three departments, Narayan? How do you analyze that? And where should they focus on now?
Siddharth, if you take a look at the first test match, what really happened in that test match, which wrapped up in 2.5 days, actually the pitch at the Eden Gardens, we know that what kind of pitch it was. The central pitch has been used, and definitely there was uneven bounce is there, and also we can say that a big turn was there for the batters. And right now the batters in the Indian team are especially playing on the batting friendly pitches. If you take a look, they are playing where, especially even if they are going to foreign countries, they are playing against the pacers, the pitch which suits the pace bowlers. And even in India, if you take a look, they are not playing the domestic cricket. They are not used to playing the spin tracks, especially. And in the past, we know that India were known for playing the spinners and in the subcontinental condition, but that is not looking right now. If you take a look at the Eden Gardens, the way Simon Harmer wreaked havoc and just won the match with the help of the Marco Jansen and Simon Harmer. So this is the thing, is that our players are not playing in such pitches, and suddenly one such pitch comes and they just, we saw that all the players were lost wicket and the whole team shattered. So this is the thing. Actually, what happens now when you experiment with the dry pitches, especially in the subcontinental pitches, what happens? Sometimes it comes as a different product, and as Gautam Gambhir said that we got that sort of pitch that we wanted, but it backfired. And if you take a look in England, what happened? We played a fantastic cricket and just drew the 5-match series with the England. And what happened with New Zealand series? That happened in India. Same tracks, same spinning tracks, and we were trapped in our own trap. So that was the thing. So we should go for the batting friendly pitches. Not batting friendly, I can say. We should be balanced pitch. But this pitch, as of now, looking balanced for spinners, batters, and as well as pacers. So here India stick to the basics and put the ball in the right area. And as soon as possible, they should wrap up the things and start playing again and just score big runs. That's the key to success here.
Okay, so just sticking to the basics and not experimenting much might get this match in favor of India, but we'll have to wait and see because it's just the second day. We have 3 more days to go in this test match. Let's see which side will come out with flying colours. We leave it there, Narayan. Thank you so much. Skipper Shubman Gill is set to miss the upcoming 3-match ODI series against South Africa, with his neck injury expected to take longer to heal. Wicketkeeper batter Rishabh Pant and senior player KL Rahul are in contention for stopgap captaincy. Although veteran Rohit Sharma is also part of the squad, chances of Gill playing the subsequent T20I series versus the Proteas from December 9 also look bleak. The BCCI's men's selection committee is expected to announce India's white ball squad on Sunday. In soccer, Nottingham Forest stunned champion Liverpool in the English Premier League at Anfield on Saturday. Forest clinched a 3-0 thumping victory that dented the Reds' title ambitions and Forest's back-to-back league wins at Liverpool's iconic ground in 62 years. Goals from Murillo, Nicolo and Morgan sealed Forest's win to hand Arne Slot's men a shocking 6th defeat in their last 7 league games. Liverpool plummeted to provisionally 11th in the table on 18 points, 8 points behind leaders Arsenal, who host Tottenham Hotspur on Sunday. Forest are at 16th place. And India's Rajasthan Sambar Lake offered a stunning sight as thousands of migratory flamingos gathered well beyond their usual season. Known as India's largest inland saltwater lake, Sambar typically hosts these birds from October to March. However, due to favorable conditions like unseasonal rains, the lake has seen large flamingo populations outside this typical period. That's all for this edition of DD India Newshour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Newshour.